How's it going, guys? Coffee here. Today I wanted to go over the budget version for the Erika2 Chain Lightning build. This version you should be able to get into with under 100 FE, and this is basically using all pure leveling gear. So as you see here, we have this Omniscient prototype. We have a Searching Inspiration prototype. This is, 1 FE. Omniscient, 1 FE. The non-corrupted Photophobia is 1 to 2 FE, I guess. Maybe it's 3 now. You can use Sage's Insight if these do get expensive for some reason. Because of this, you can just use Marksman's Bracers as well. It doesn't really... I think Sage's Insights are definitely more damage, but again, if you can't afford them, just use Marksman's Bracers because those are going to be free, or you're going to basically have them for leveling already. We have Elemental Whisper Belt. You're going to have this while leveling. Again, you can upgrade to another belt. If you are using Sage's Insight, though, you do want to ensure that you're getting your fire damage and cold damage to spells from another source. So while you're using Lonesome Ring while leveling, it's perfect and it's fine. But other than that, make sure you're getting it on a source. So if you look at my my own weapon itself, I have some cold damage here, but you don't need it unless you're doing some... funky stuff. Same for boots. I just have some movement speed boots. None of these. You'd want to craft things before you actually go into mapping or whatever. But then you'll have Spring Resurrections that you level with from level 6. I did level this character entirely on Chain Lightning from the very beginning. So you can do the same thing. In regards to the relics and memories, you do end up wanting to get yourself this cannot become immune to shock. Relic here with 3 engrams. It's not... You want this eventually because you're going to end up wanting to get yourself a source of immune to shock. So when you're going to buy your first relic, buy this. You don't have to buy the one with this chance to feline figure. You can. As you can see, it's still very inexpensive, but if you can't afford it, just get one that has this base chance to immune to shock. And then what you can do is you have 2 options of getting your immune to shock. You can either get yourself a corrupted Photophobia here. This does cost about 50 FE, or you can get yourself some boots with the immune to shock Dreamcraft on them. So whatever's going to be cheaper, it's really going to come down to how much people are buying things up. Just make sure you actually look around to kind of see, to basically decide on what's going to be best for you, or what's going to be best, for what you can find for your character. The ones for ES, not even that much cheaper. I guess there's one pair here for 2, or with 20 FE or something like that. So I would recommend just basically saving and getting the one on the necklace. But you don't really need the immune to shock early on. It's not the end of the world if you just take some shock damage from your pet if it ends up hitting you. You can sustain most of it with just the life regain from Spring Resurrection at this point, so it's not a big deal. You do end up wanting to get this cat power generation here. You can see you can kind of get these. It's probably going to be around at least 10 to 15 FE for a decent roll. You want to try to get as close you can to the negative 20%, but if you can only get yourself a negative 25 or negative 26, it's still not the end of the world. Just use whatever you can afford. And then for the other memories that I'm running, I'm just running this high shock damage here, recorded, as well as this chance to trigger feline figure. There's probably better ones out there, but I haven't tested these super thoroughly yet. I just picked up something that was relatively cheap because I didn't want to break the bank over something when I wasn't sure exactly what was going to be best yet. The only thing that I think is I think the extra chance to trigger feline figure is useful, as well as the shock damage or increased maximum damage or whatever it is. I think there's a lot of different things you can use with this that are all going to be good. So just kind of look around, get whatever you can afford. Check other creators as well. There might be some other people that are using specific ones, but I don't know if there's that many people who have very thoroughly tested them. It is kind of hard to test them because of the nature of how this character does damage, so keep that in mind. But for the tree, basically what you're going to be running here, these are the points you're going to want to be running here. You are just going to basically be, everything you're doing is increasing your damage for your feline figure, which is the thing that is triggering here off of lightning fast. So whenever you're moving, you're basically getting this trigger with the feline figure, and it's dealing damage based off of the shock that is on, that you are putting on the target. It is dealing shock damage, and it's getting a lot of additional damage based off of how many shocks total there are, which is why you want this immune to shock damage eventually. You don't want to just be fully immune to shock, because you need to be able to trigger static meteor here, which, as you can see, is a lot of additional max damage every time shock is settled on you. So shock is being settled on you by feline figure. So basically this is how it kind of triggers and feeds off of itself with a really, really fast movement speed. Wild lightning is really big damage in this test that I'm showcasing here. We're not even getting to see it because our lightning resistance is not overcapped at all with this. But as you can imagine, getting 20% of the base hit damage is obviously going to increase the damage by a ton for what's being recorded for feline figure. Pretty much the gist of playing the character is you want to just always be moving as fast as possible. And basically you're going to get your curse up, you're going to get your arcane circle up, and your fixate up. If you happen to have the activation trigger gems, you can use them. If not, you're just going to be playing piano and you're going to be using the buttons themselves. For the actual links on your skill here, you're going to be using Chain Lightning here with Psychic Burst, Jump, High Voltage, Grudge, and Lightning Pen. This Grudge can be something else, if you don't have Curse effectiveness yet. The end game version of this build, based off of what I posted in the video yesterday, you are using the gloves that give you a second Curse, things like that. So that's why we are focused on Grudge, as well as stacking Curse effect. So we have Electrocute here with Terrain of Malice and Abysmal Hatred. Then we have Blink with a Quick Mobility and Psychic Surge. And then we have a Arcane Circle here with Mania and Extended Duration. Yeah. And then we are using Fixate here. When you do get your gloves for a second Curse, this will end up being a second Curse. But for now, this is what you're running. And then for your auras, you're going to be running Elemental Amplification here with the standard aura setup. You do want to get precise elemental resistance if you can. If you can't, just run the base elemental resistance. It's still good defensively. If you don't want to run either of them, I don't even know. I guess you could run Thunder Imbue or something, or just Swiftness. I leveled just using Swiftness because I was just using and enjoying the extra movement speed. But you can just kind of run whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. I would suggest just using the base elemental resistance, though. The extra resistance that you're getting out of it, or max res, is still really, really good, even if you're not getting some base elemental res with it. If you can't afford this, though, this is absolutely worth the money. It is the best aura that's out there right now, because along with all the aura effect that you're getting on it, of course, your max res is going up by a ton. And then you're getting a ton of elemental resistance as well, which is relieving a lot of the LE res pressure off of your gear. Then last thing, electric conversion with the same supports on it. And then we have Energy Fortress here with selfishness, stand as one, and seal conversion. For your candles, getting some just cheap cooldown recovery candles is going to be best. They're maybe 8 to 10 FE each right now. If you can get them with some res as well, that always helps. You can start with these. I think your highest damage candles are going to end up being Curse Effect with a +1 jump on them, or Curse Effect with cooldown recovery. So again, if you can afford those, then do it. And if you can't, then don't. It's not the end of the world. And yeah, for the tree itself, you do go Goddess of Hunting here. You are just basically picking up, while you're leveling, you're just taking all the attack and cast speed and movement speed. And then you want to make sure you're getting your skill cost reduction here. These last 5 points here, you don't really take these till the very end. While you're leveling, you do want to take the max damage, though. And then you put in the points here into the ES and stuff later on. You don't really need to worry about the stuff while leveling. Your character's just going to blast through everything, and you don't need to worry about it. Just keep getting all that movement speed and moving along. Then next up, we are going into Blade Runner. For leveling as well, I wasn't even running Paralyzed. I was just running Flicker, just so that I could blink faster throughout the maps and get myself through campaign faster. Obviously, once you kind of get through campaign, you do want to swap to Paralyzed, but if you're having no issues with damage, just swap to Flicker. It's going to help you get through campaign a bit faster. Then we have Blade Runner here. It's the same thing. You take a little bit of damage here, and then we are pumping through here into getting this max ES here, some movement speed, and then we're getting some ES regain here. For leveling, if you want, you can just put other points into damage. Because you're using Spring Resurrections, you're already going to get a lot of regen. You don't really need the regain as well. So that comes down to personal preference. And the last thing is going to be Warlock over here, which we are getting this additional damage here, as well as the extra crit chances here, the chance to deal double damage, and then double ailment damage on double damage, our cooldown recovery, and then getting our +2 skills levels. For leveling, I would recommend using Dirty Tricks instead of running off the beaten path, just because this is going to allow you to get your 100% chance to... this will get you your additional chance to... your additional chance for shock. You don't have to put any points into chance to shock if you do it this way. So kind of keep that in mind if you wanted to go that route. If not, you can just continue to run off the beaten path. It's really going to come down to personal preference. So for now, we'll just leave it as off the beaten path for this, and we'll just forego the Dirty Tricks. It's not the end of the world. So I wonder if we're actually looking at this, because I haven't actually tested this with... yeah. So let's go ahead and, I guess, showcase this in the map. You guys can kind of see what it's like, and then we will kind of take it from there. If you have any other questions, then we can go through. For the damage test, you see here I was just running these city pets. If you do end up wanting to look for your max damage pets, it is going to be this Crossroad Walker here, which is going to give you extra curse effect, as well as extra ailment damage against cursed enemies. And then we want to be running these 2 elemental pen pets here. That also, this one gives additional element damage by spell skills. And then this one is just giving us a lot of pen as well. And at level 6, you're getting some extra penetration on it as well. With the thing that came from the anniversary bonus today, if you are really, into basically playing Erika, I would say Dreamweaver is likely to have better overall use, I guess, if you are just going to continue to play damage. Though, I guess with these new gloves existing, I guess they're not even that new. But I guess with this, you might end up wanting to run Crossroad Walker just because of the extra curse effect. It's... one of the 2 is what I recommend. So we'll take it from there. Let's go ahead and showcase a map from here. In regards to your slates, you do want to just pick up an Insight slate here. This is going to be very inexpensive. I mean, it should be like under 20 FE. If you can get one with some additional stats on it, that's nice, but don't worry about it. Other than that, you just want to be running some slates with +1 lightning, and you just kind of roll for anything else that's going to be good on them. And then it is helpful to get either a Corner of Divinity that has a 30% chance to gain any stack of Blessing when triggering a skill mod. If you can't, you can just buy these God of War divinities here like I did. I think I spent maybe 20 FE on this, and then I just rolled it. I happened to get pretty lucky with my rolls, to be honest. This was the first one I tried this on, and I actually got some useful stats out of it, so that's always nice. And then you do want to get one of these Goddess of Hunting divinities here for the settle shock damage and additional time on crit. It is really nice as well. An important thing to note, if you are running the version where you do not have the immune to shock necklace or boots yet, you do want to just basically take off the legendary memory. You don't need it yet, and you are just going to be running lightning fast. You cannot be running static meteor or it will kill you at this point. but you're safe from any other damage that you are going to run into. So let's go ahead and showcase it, and I'm going to go over something here. So as soon as I move, you're going to see a bar that starts to move up. This bar is for this flashing sparks mechanic here, which gives you your electrify stacks. This accounts for how many times the feline figure is settling shock damage. By default, it's settling shock damage 10 times. By getting flashing sparks, you're increasing this up to 30 times while this is up. And then we are going to scale this even further. We can scale this even further, rather, with memories if we want to. But for now, so what you want to do is basically as soon as you start moving, this bar is going to start moving up. So what you want to do normally is you're going to want to basically look at this bar that's at the bottom. As soon as it gets to the bottom and it starts to move back up, you want to move as far as you can. So in our case, for mapping or for bossing, you just want to ensure that you're blinking a few times. That will ensure you're at 20 electrify stacks. For mapping, you don't really need to worry about it because you're always just blinking around anyways. But for doing other stuff, like bossing and things, you might not be moving as much, but if you want to try to maximize your damage all the time, it is important that you're moving all the time to basically get your electrify stacks up. So that is important to note. I'm going to try showcasing this on a T8 version, or a T8 map rather, after this as well, but that will be with the immune to shock version. I think it's probably going to be a little bit hard to do it without it, but because you're going to have a little bit of a DPS loss, but let's go ahead and we'll look into actually kind of see what the DPS total amount is, and we'll take it from there. So to cover some of the first upgrades you should be making based off of this, very budget, pure leveling gear kind of setup, what you're going to want to be doing, you are going to want to be getting yourself just like a base Light Hunter belt here. You don't need the corroded version. The non-corroded version is like 10 FE. It helps a lot with survivability just because your ES charge can't be interrupted by anything. I found it comes in handy. Getting your photophobia and getting your shock immunity is like first priority, is getting yourself immune to shock, because this allows you to use both the traits as well as letting you use the legendary memory, because you're not really going to be able to use this. You can't have Static Meteor on without being immune to shock, because your feline figure will shock you all the time and it will kill you. So again, while you're leveling, when you get to 75, if you don't have the immune to shock yet because you can't afford it, then just run lightning fast and don't use the legendary memory yet. So make sure you're getting your immune to shock first, and then you end up swapping into this form. After that, getting your Shattered Moonlight is very, very helpful. These are very, very inexpensive. If you can get one with a higher max spell burst charge speed, it's nice, but it's not the end of the world, so don't really worry about it. Once you actually get your Shattered Moonlight chest, then you can actually remove the Surging Inspiration prototype at that point. Then you can actually move to like a proper helmet. But you want to get a Long Night Sorcerer's Mask. If you can get this with some sealed mana or with some ES on it, pure ES is fine too. You don't need the sealed mana. And then you can kind of run it with the curse effect, and then you just want curse effect and resistances. My helmet's not perfect, as you can see here. I just basically picked one and I stuck with it, but I'll probably craft another one here in a little bit. Getting yourself some rings with curse effect on them is going to come in handy as well. And then you want boots here with deflection is helpful. So when I searched for these, I just looked for deflection plus gear ES is what I was looking for. And then I just, or I believe with movement speed as well. I think all three of them is maybe what I looked for. Or just deflection and movement speed, and then you just kind of roll the plasticity on it, or upgrade the mods accordingly from there. In regards to your staff, you can run wands or a staff. I think endgame running wands is probably better, maybe. But it is going to cost, you're then having to click through and get luckier on crafts than you would otherwise. For me, I was actually just looking. I bought this staff because it just had curse effect on it, as well as I was looking at curse effect plus spell skill levels, plus cooldown recovery. Like, you don't need it to be T1s on these. If you find them with the T2s, you can pay to upgrade them as well. So you might be able to find something a little bit cheaper that has all three. If not, you can just craft it on there. But your most important mods are going to be your spell skill levels as well as your cooldown recovery speed. And then your curse effect comes secondary to that. So you might be able to find some like leftover iris staffs like this. And then from here, you could take this and you could craft your curse effect on there and then craft like your percent damage mod. For example, on this would be fine. This would be a really nice pickup. Given it costs like 400 FE minimum just to basically gamble on the chance to upgrade your spell skill level, I highly recommend you go this route of doing it. Just because it's going to save you a ton of money and you're going to be able to find a lot of people that are selling their old crafts or that like missed for their irises basically. Again, pick up the chest in order to basically pick up your shock stuff, pick up your chest, kind of craft out the rest of the gear because that's going to be kind of inexpensive, and then buy yourself a nice staff. I was leveling just with this. Like I bought a dagger here. I spent like 10 FE on this, as well as like a memory, and I was using this just for explosions. The explosions are nice. They do kind of carry you a bit. You don't need them though. So if you want to just save yourself the money, you don't need to spend it on this. It's just kind of something to have fun with. Same thing if you can't afford Sage's Insights, run Marksman's Bracers, but eventually you want to work yourself towards getting Malevolent Hands as well. These are kind of expensive. It looks like they are up to like 300 FE now, or if you look at corrupted versions first, you're probably going to find them cheaper, as you saw there. It looks like they're maybe 300 for corroded pair, so you have the option when you're buying these whether you want to focus more on offenses or defenses. When I bought mine, I specifically bought a pair that had the negative 20% damage taken from cursed enemies. For me, I wanted to focus on the defense, but this additional curse effect here goes up to 40%. So the higher that gets, the more expensive they're going to get, most likely as well, because that scales your damage by a ton. So keep that in mind. Decide whether or not you want defenses or damage, and then buy your pair of gloves accordingly to that. Yeah, other than that, I'll try to get a full upgrade order of what I think is the best upgrade order on things posted. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I'll be more than happy to help. And other than that, see you in the next one.